Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by charlesequipment.com. Keeping you powered up, no matter what the conditions. charlesequipment.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski, President Wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. And I have to issue a mea culpa. Gosh darn it. Just to show you that I don't look things up. I try to go off memory, but sometimes my memory fails me. Plus, this was a special case, and I'll explain.
All right.
So we're talking about Carly Simon's Nobody Does It Better. That was the theme music for The Spy Who Loved Me, Bond film, Roger Moore, Richard Kiel. Other Richard Kiel Bond movie he was in, too. What was the other one, Amy? You almost got it with Needle in the Eye.
Or something, Tiger in My Eye. I have the
Tiger. It was a two-eye. It was the eye sequel.
Googled.
The Needle in My Eye, then Tiger in My Eye. No.
What is it?
Maybe you saw this one. Moonraker?
Which one?
Moonraker?
No.
So anyway, I'm going by memory. And of course, because we have fellow cinephiles who listen to the show, I got corrected immediately. I almost corrected myself. You heard it. I said Catherine Bach was the Bond girl.
Yeah.
But it was her doppelganger from that period in time, Barbara Bach.
Oh, yeah, you got it wrong.
Barbara. I almost said Barbara. I'm like, I didn't think so. But see, I had a sort of a fixation on Daisy Duke as a young man.
Clearly.
Yeah.
For Your Eyes Only is what I'm trying. The 1981.
Yes, and
that song, For Your Eyes Only.
And who sang the theme music to that?
Is it Sheila E? No.
Not Sheila E., but your ballpark. Keep thinking it through. Think 80 stars.
No, I know. Like, Your Eyes Only.
Please don't sing.
No, well, I
Just
had
think.
the 45.
My God, you're old. All right, so not
Don't
Sheila,
sing.
but
those are in hip, by the way, LPs.
But an S. It begins with an S. You want me to give you a hint?
Anybody else? Like, nobody's
No, don't. Nobody tell her.
Scott's not off. He's off today.
We'll work through this. We'll work through this. Remember how I taught you to read yesterday?
Yes, you
with
did.
the Thomas Jefferson
You did.
commencement.
That was good.
So we'll work through this. So think S. Female singers of the '80s begins with an S.
Sheila.
No. Would it help you if I said she also sang Sugar Walls?
Sugar Walls.
Would it help you if I also said she sang You've Got the Look with Prince?
Oh, that's Sheena Easton.
There it is. See?
You got the look. You got the look.
All right.
I loved Prince. God, all right, rest in peace.
Okay, now that we have that out of the way and the world is rebalanced, let's before we bring in Ted Dabrowski, we want him to enjoy this send-up that ABC 7 did with Brandon Johnson. I didn't think they had as good a sense of humor as they clearly do. Our local Jiminy Glick, one of them, sat down with BLM Brandon on the occasion of his first anniversary, and what a year it's been, to talk about the accomplishments and the challenges that remain. He's not perfect, but, he's doing a bang-up job. He says so. So, for example, migrants, how'd you do there?
No other city in America has been able to handle this crisis as well as we have. If there's someone out there that's doing it better than Chicago, I would like to know, because we certainly will take notes.
What do you do if there is...
Yeah, right?
He challenges everybody. Like, come on, we're the best. You want a piece of this? Let's go.
He nailed it with migrants. He's killing it with crime, pun intended.
Since I've been in office, homicides and shootings continue to go down. Vehicular carjackings has gone down.
But an ABC7 data analysis
The data analysis, okay, we'll skip them.
Well, the robberies are up, is what the ABC data analysis projected.
Why do don't focus on the fear porn. Just focus on the propaganda, please. Just accept what he says as received wisdom. On the whole contretemps over ShotSpotter, it's not a big deal. He explained it beautifully.
You have been adamant about ending ShotSpotter. Why is that?
Oh, because it didn't work.
Yeah.
Look,
was it good enough, though, to keep through the DNC?
Well, it was a part of my approach to be collaborative. I work with the corporation to phase it out so that there's a deeper opportunity to give them the chance to provide more substantive research of its benefit.
I mean, the guy is just willing to bend over backwards to see if it'll work, just to make sure that he's right, that it doesn't work.
He's so flexible because, he wants a better, stronger, safer Chicago.
And obviously that better, stronger, safer Chicago of which we all speak is occurring in part, as he was describing, because of this beautiful working relationship that he has forged through his collaborative disposition with the Chicago police.
Do you believe the police officers of this city respect you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I respect them.
Some officers feel like you don't have their backs. So what would be your message to those officers?
I'm grateful to have the support of the police department and my entire administration. Support the women and men who show up every single day risking their lives on behalf of the people of Chicago.
Well, they love me so much that I got uninvited to a funeral or was told not to go.
Again, relationships are going to have their up and downs, but the important thing is that they love each other, and they're going to work through it. We've come a long way. We came from Beirut on the Lake back when the honkies were being a bit obstreperous with Harold Washington, to now we have Candide on the Lake, and I think it's wonderful. Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints.org, joins us. Ted, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
A round of applause for Brandon Johnson's first year.
Hey, he survived the 1 year, and I can't wait for the next three. What I'm amazed at, we've all talked about the crime and the education and the migrants and what a mess. Frankly, I'm deeply concerned about where Chicago heads and how we get out of this. But one of the things that's not discussed, but I picked up from the Tribune article, was this whole, and I got to wonder what the business community, the larger business community, is thinking, because nobody talks about jobs and the economy and what the markets mean, what the big employers mean. You look at the Tribune article, and it's all about his handing out of money, how he is going to help all these different people by giving them money. His biggest news was his $1.25 billion bond borrowing. He's going to borrow money to hand out for housing and things like that.
Well, that's how you create jobs.
Yeah, and so it's the actual destruction of the city in a much more structural way than the ones that we typically see through the crime and through the migrants. And so that's the one that nobody's talking about. You got to wonder what the big corporate guys are thinking, because he doesn't have their backs either. And of course it's of their own fault. They're not speaking up, but that's the broader destruction, where you have fewer jobs, a weaker economy, and all the handouts that he does do no good because people in the end can't get jobs.
Well, what about his position, though, on ShotSpotter? I mean, because he says it's not working, but yet we're keeping it here through the DNC for a reason, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's just purely political. He doesn't want it. It's racist to him. Never mind, a lot of aldermen know that it at least helps. It's hard to know we'll never know what the true cost effectiveness of it is. But my guess is from what I've seen and read is that it helps certainly a lot of areas, especially the high crime areas where police can't show up to everything. But he's a politician. He's playing it out the way you would expect him to play it out. But he's just covering his butt.
Hey, with respect to Chicago schools, I mentioned this a bit earlier when we were doing a little compare and contrast with this Catholic school in Louisiana that's doing incredible work educating young black girls. Catholic school that's 100%. That's a girls' school, and it's 100% black. 17 years in a row, 100% graduation, 100% college acceptance. They got math geniuses. They got all kinds of people of accomplishment that they're producing. And I noted the CPS thing. I mean, I know that we got to cough up some cash to make sure that they're earning a fair wage. But what's going on with this absenteeism among the teachers at CPS? Are we not providing good enough working conditions? Is that it? Is that what the $50 billion is going, and the $1 billion more from the state? Is that what that's going to fix so that they feel more comfortable coming to work?
Yeah, people keep forgetting. Maybe people don't know, but spending per pupil is up 40% in the last 4 or 5 years at CPS. So we're spending, when you take in all the money, we're spending $20,000 a student in 2019, which is already a lot. It's up at 30,000 now, and so
well, let's go to 40. It sounds like we're still a little light. We got to get to 40.
Well, that's the goal, of course. And so, we got tons of money going in. But then somebody, I forget who gave us a heads up, said, look at the teacher. We've been talking a lot about the kids not coming in, and of course, COVID destroyed that, right? We taught kids that you didn't have to come to school. Teachers could strike to not go to school. And so somebody told us, hey, take a look at the teacher absence rate, and it's phenomenal, right? 43% of teachers have been chronically absent. And that's an amazing stat considering how many days off they get anyway. All the federal holidays, all the built-in holidays, all the sick leave, the COVID leave. It's phenomenal, and you can't help but. I mean, not that it matters, because I'm not sure. They say that teachers not being in school really hurts performance, but I think at CPS, I don't think there's a big correlation to that. It's just another sad fact to how dysfunctional CPS is.
Well, tomorrow's a big day. I got an email, ways to support the May 15th Day of Action to fully fund CPS. They're going to have
finally.
They're having CPS educators are going to join district and labor leaders in Springfield to advocate. Wait for it. For more equitable state funding for CPS schools.
I've been waiting all year for that Day of Action.
CPS schools, they say, are underfunded by $1.1 billion, and they want their money.
I mean, we can just repeat ad nauseum. The teachers are some of the highest paid in the country. We're spending $30,000 a student. People are fleeing the district.
The $30,000 per student. The $30,000 per student. I mean, just again, some perspective on that. Compare and contrast that to, say, some of the wealthier suburban school districts. What does that spend look like? Within a range.
It's pretty similar to New Trier. It's certainly more than Wilmette, the elementary school. It's a good number, right? It's up there with some of the best in the state. Obviously, there's a little extra money in places like New Trier, but $30,000 is not chump change. And
we don't have nice things.
And then when you compare to downstate, though, then you start talking about 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 a student. So, CPS is getting its healthy share of funding. That, of course, doesn't take into account a lot of kids don't attend school at CPS. So, really that money is even more per student for those who show up at school.
I'm thinking about that absentee problem, and I'm thinking probably what we need is, I know this is a bit counterintuitive, but, I'm an innovative thinker. I think we need shorter school days and shorter school years. Everybody says longer school day, longer school years. Let's make them shorter, right?
Yeah. Well, that's effectively what they're doing, right, by not showing up.
Yeah, well, exactly. But we should codify that. Yeah, we should. I should probably maybe be part of Stacey Davis Gates' bargaining team. I'm thinking. You're
listening right now.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be constructive. The likelihood that CTU gets just about everything it wants. The likelihood that all this talk about striking, as is pro forma, is just so much window dressing to present the false notion that there's some sort of real bargaining that goes on between management and labor here. This is all just a facade, as it's been for generations, right? Nothing's changed.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been. You can think of them as fighting from time to time, but really they're fighting for the same thing, and that's just more power and more money. They just how to divide the spoils, right? You've had this long-term monopoly of providing schools, which is CPS, and you've got the monopoly providing teachers, which is the Chicago Teachers Union, and they pretend like they fight, but they're in the same boat. They want more money, more power, and making sure this is why schools don't get shut down, right? That's why you have all these empty, failing schools. It's why you can ask for 9% annual increases, things like that. But it's performative at best, and there might be some fights, but it'll be because it's not agreeing on how to divide the spoils.
So Jelly Belly has slated about $830 million in subsidies for Rivian, the electric car maker, and their trucks are pretty cool looking, so that's fine by me. As long as you make cool looking products, then you deserve whatever you want from the state. But isn't that one of the EV companies that's most likely to go BK?
Well, I spent a lot of time on this because I was quite sensitive. I'm actually a big fan of those trucks. I go to car shows and I see them and I like them. So nothing personal on this, and I wouldn't be well. Anyway, they're cool.
Yeah.
But that said, it's not for the governor and for our bureaucrats. And here we are talking about Johnson and Pritzker and a lot of the dysfunction we have in our state. And here you go, Governor Pritzker deciding that Rivian should get $827 million in subsidies over the next 30 years. And I'm like, wait a minute. And so I dug in, and if you look at what's happening in the EV industry, and then you read about Rivian, you realize that Rivian had no choice. They really were. They're in a deep, on a tightrope right now. And there's only one place that they could kind of bring their investments. They decided not to open their Georgia plant, $5 billion. So they had to build in Illinois. But
right.
They had nowhere else to go.
Where they get taxpayer cash. Right.
Right. And so they had nowhere else to go. And now, so then the second part is there's a lot of concern that they may be bankrupt in the next 2 years. Now, they may get bought out by somebody, but they also just may be bankrupt. They've got 5 quarters of cash left. So what the heck is our governor, even if you love Rivian, even if you like EV, you still, even then, you don't want your governor taking taxpayer money and giving it to a company that's near bankruptcy.
I think we should.
And I'm not trying to predict. Trying to predict where Rivian goes, right? I'm only saying that I don't care what you think. The governor has no business giving money to a nearly bankrupt company.
Well, he is a successful tech entrepreneur. Don't forget.
Right.
I know.
Put that on his resume.
Yeah, he told us, so that's how I know, and I believe everything he says, like most of Illinoisans. And I think if it comes to it, then we should just buy Illinois and have Pritzker. Buy Illinois, have Illinois buy Rivian, and have Pritzker run it as a state enterprise. I mean, if Brandon Johnson is going to set up city-run grocery stores, why doesn't Pritzker set up a state-run EV manufacturer?
Well, yeah, somebody else said, hey, why doesn't he require every government employee to own a Rivian? And that would
exactly. We'll pay for them. Yeah.
This whole thing is the whole legal corruption. This is exactly what's the problem with Illinois. This is a perfect example of how money's misused, how taxpayers are abused, and how most people have no clue that it happened, right? It's just their money. But, and don't forget that to give Rivian $1 billion in tax subsidies, that money has to come from somebody else. All those companies who are struggling with some of the highest taxes in the country, they had to give up their money so that Rivian could be favored.
Well, everybody's equal. Some are more equal than others. That's how it works in Animal Farm. Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks as always, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager, weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, Emerson College professor fired for teaching his students how to think critically. The horror at 8:08.
Today we're going to have a chance of showers. Cloudy, a lot cooler than yesterday, a high near 59 degrees. Tonight also a chance of showers. And then tomorrow, just wait for it. Plenty of sunshine, a high near 67 degrees. It's now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Former President Trump is